All right, we are back with our college basketball and NBA recap show. It's just Connor and I today. We decided not to do an interview. It's the Duke Carolina preview. Let's just get right into it. Let's recap this week's games. Let's start off with Duke Notre Dame. Let's get the boring one out of the way. Duke dominated Notre Dame, didn't score much, had control of the whole game. Duke wins by like 14, easy win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have to talk much about that game.
No.
It was pretty easy. Well, let's talk about the game everybody was freaking out about. Carolina, Louisville. Maybe the worst officiated college basketball game we have ever seen.
This is coming from a Carolina fan, and they just let it go on both ways way too long. And at the end, it got really, really chippy and really testy, and everybody was like bitching and complaining about non-calls, whatever it may be. The refs let it get out of hand. None of that would have happened if they would have taken control of the game and made consistent calls. Like, you see this all the time. And then the crowd was hostile. They were throwing ice on the floor. Like, it was just all around a shit show.
I mentioned this before the podcast. It's hilarious that with an ACC officiating crew, whenever they're terrible, everybody's just hammering Teddy Valentine. Teddy Valentine wasn't even a part of that crew.
He should have been. He would have fit right in. He might have made a little more of a show about it. But no, it was horrible. It was a horribly officiated game. Both ways. I'm not going to say that like it was rigged one way or the other. It got out of hand quickly.
I mean, Baycott. Let's just talk about it. We've been yelling at each other. We've been texting nonstop all week.
This is the argument we've come to, basically, is that I as a diehard Carolina fan student here, I will not sit here and say that was a basketball play. It was not.
But if for people that have not seen it, Baycott clearly goes after and tries to injure the Louisville player by going after his knee.
It looked like he tried to grab him or something like that.
That is dirty.
I'm not saying it's not, but you have been arguing that he deserves the same treatment Grayson Allen got after he started doing this shit.
Okay.
And it's not the same. It's just not the same.
Grayson Allen's first offense, everybody's like, oh, this is only Baycott's first offense. Grayson Allen's been a dirty player this whole time. But I'm talking about after the first offense.
Let's take the first offenses. Let's compare the two. Grayson Allen jutted out his leg and tripped somebody after probably turning the ball over or something like that. I don't know.
I'm not saying they're not dirty, and I know you're saying they're different. But at the end of the day, they both were not basketball plays, and they were trying to trip the other person.
I just don't know if he was trying to grab him or whatever. I've seen it a million times.
How? If this was not a Carolina player, this was an NC State player, a Wake Forest player, a Duke player, you would be freaking out. You would be calling for him to go to prison for multiple years.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes, you would. If it was a Duke player, you would be calling for his head.
I'm not saying it wasn't dirty, but it is not nearly on the same level as any of Grayson Allen's offenses. You can compare one to the other.
I'm talking about one. I'm not talking about the whole set. Yes, Grayson Allen has made dirty plays. I get that. I'm not denying that.
Oh, and I will say the first one too. The first time he tripped somebody is worse than that Baycott video. You can choose any of his trips.
You can say even if it's a little worse, but it's still, he's going after, it's a dirty play. You should get the same treatment.
No, you should not. He should not get the same treatment as that. He had been.
If he was a Duke player, he would be getting murdered right now. Just because he's Carolina.
Maybe he was just trying to get up because he got fucking tabletopped and spent over
You're
backwards
gonna complain
and
about
pulled
that
down.
game. You're going to complain about that game
the whole time.
when it was clearly rigged in Carolina. They called the foul on Louisville.
We deserved that. It was karma.
Elbowed him in the throat.
If you go replay that game and watch the whole 2-hour whatever game, I can point out 20 plays where Baycott is getting both arms below his waist held down. What is he supposed to do?
You could do the same. You could call the same thing for Louisville.
No, you couldn't. You could not.
Yes, you could have.
If you go watch that game, he gets pulled down every single rebound, and they don't call it just because he's bigger or stronger, whatever than the other team. He's getting literally both arms below his waist, so he can't jump or get a rebound.
Baycott should be suspended for Saturday.
Oh, I bet you would love that, huh?
Actually, no, I don't want that. I want a full-strength Carolina game. Let's go into that. Enough about the Baycott thing. Obviously, we're going nowhere with this. But let's talk about the game Saturday. I don't tell me.
We're already not at full strength, so
because I'm not going to say anything. All right, let's talk. Carolina Duke Saturday. It feels like this is the first time, and maybe those you know how like those Trey Jones, the Cole Anthony. Obviously, that was an awesome game. Came down in the last minute. They were, but the build up to those games did not seem as real as past Duke Carolina games. Last year, obviously, did not have the same effect because Duke sucked last year.
Yeah.
There's no fans in the arena. There was no build up really. It didn't mean as much. This one feels like it means a lot, even though Carolina's not top 25. They're not as high as they used to be. It still feels like, oh crap, this is a real Duke Carolina game.
There's not like both teams aren't like top 10 or top 25 or whatever, but it still feels like that it's going to be more competitive than in the last couple of years. Like, I agree with what you're saying, like the more build up and whatever, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the winner of the game tomorrow is first place in the ACC standings. Maybe not outright, but I think it's for first place in the ACC standings.
I think it's for a share.
Yeah. So,
depending on the Notre Dame game, I believe.
I think with the games this week, it came down to now the game on tomorrow will be for first place.
It's the game tomorrow because Duke hasn't played enough games. They're 8-2. The rest are 8-3, including Carolina.
Yeah.
And then if Carolina wins, they obviously jump Duke.
Yeah. So it feels like a little different atmosphere. I agree. I don't think Garcia is going to play, which sucks because we don't really have any size. But I mean, we're not going to play a bench anyways. I would not be surprised if we don't have more than like 15 total bench minutes in the game tomorrow.
It's kind of the opposite every year. That's how it is for Duke. We play 7 guys. Maybe one guy gets in for like 4 or 5 minutes if there's foul trouble.
Yeah.
But we're always a 7-man rotation. It's just kind of flipped.
Carolina never usually has that because last year we had the depth with, Kessler, Day'Ron Sharp, all those people. And we played like 10 guys a game, whether it be for small minute runs, whatever it may be. Like, we still played 10 guys a game. And this year it's literally been 5.
But this genuinely feels like the first like real build up to a Duke Carolina game since that 2019 ACC tournament game. I mean, it's nowhere comparable to that one because that was Zion's return, and everyone's like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, we finally get the real game. That's why before I was saying I don't want Baycott to be suspended or anything. Like, I want Carolina to be full strength. I want the real game.
I agree, and I don't want any like fluke shit either because it sucks. Garcia's not going to play, but in the end of the day, like, it's not the worst. Like, he's a good player, but
are you worried about Banchero murdering Brady Manick?
I don't think he'll be guarding Banchero. There's no way.
Who's going to guard Banchero?
I don't know. They got to figure out something else because he is just a liability on defense. I don't know what they'll do. I don't know if they'll just risk it and put Baycott on like Manick on like Mark Williams or something like that, or just I honestly don't know. But if they leave Brady Manick on an island against Banchero, it's going to be 10 straight possessions with a bucket, and then we're going to have to change something up.
Is Caleb Love going to go off for his typical 30 points because he was pissed Duke didn't pick him?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Was he? I think I saw the numbers today. He's averaging like 20-plus points, 7 assists, and like 80% shooting or something ridiculous like that against Duke in his career so far.
Okay. Biased Carolina fan, what's your prediction for the game and what happens?
So I think this whole year I've thought that Carolina and Duke would split the series, and I think like tomorrow Carolina will win because I don't think there's any way Duke will lose at home on Coach K's last game in Cameron. I don't think there's any way Duke would lose that one. And my theory has always been that there's going to be a split. So I feel like Carolina's going to win tomorrow. I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood, whatever. I feel like it's going to be close though. And I think there's a good chance it'll be close tomorrow. And there's a good chance the second meeting will be a complete like blowout.
I mean, obviously I'm not going to pick Carolina to lose, but any normal like functioning Duke Carolina fans that's watched these games for however long you've been alive, you always just bet on the split.
Yeah, exactly.
Always bet on the split. But that being said, looking at the matchups and what I believe is going to happen, I think the final score is going to be 82-65 Duke. I think Duke's going to wipe them. I think Duke's going to wax them tomorrow. Carolina's got a little too much hype around them. They got lucky in that Louisville game. You can't lie.
I'm going to go if we come out shooting like we did against NC State, I'm going to go 77-70 Carolina.
I feel like there will be more scoring than that. But we did talk about this before. It's going to get chippy.
Yeah, and I think maybe like with the Carolina-Louisville game, like I feel like the referees have probably seen that, and like the HT's been scrutinized a lot about it for sure. They've probably told the officiating crew to keep it under control from the start. Like, what do you think? I feel like there's going to be a no tolerance for like any physical play. Somebody's going to get in foul trouble early.
I want to have this prediction. I wish there was a sports book that could make this prop. I want Theo John to get a flagrant one foul at like plus 400.
I mean, Mark Williams will get 2 fouls in 5 minutes, and Theo John will come in and just absolutely man clobber somebody. I could easily see that.
The biggest elbows, dude.
I thought he would be a bigger factor for y'all this year than what he has been. But he doesn't play that much, I feel like.
Just Mark Williams. And then we some teams we just have to go small ball against.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Is Keels playing?
Keels is playing. He played against Notre Dame. Looked a little rusty.
Yeah.
Duke's full strength, though. I genuinely believe. I think Duke comes in and dominates that game. And I
don't think so.
This is a huge pivotal game for Duke because I think this will take them from a national title contender or they're just a good team. If they lose this game, it feels like they're just a good team. If they win this game, I feel like it takes them that national title contender. Because this Carolina game is totally different, no matter how bad or good either team is at the time. This Duke-Carolina game is completely different. It's like a Final Four game to where it doesn't matter how good you've been all year. It matters how you are in the crazy emotions of that game.
I was actually going to speak on that real quick. Like you said, the emotions or whatever. The Dean Dome on this past weekend against State, I was at the game, or I was working the game running the basket. That's the loudest I've heard the Dean Dome in a long time, was against NC State. And I'm sure it was like due like, Michael Jordan being there and Roy Williams Day, like it was packed. But if it can like replicate that environment, like that's a tough place to play in. Like obviously Cameron, but like the Dean Dome was getting scrutinized for like too many seats, whatever. That was a really tough environment this past weekend. So if that can be like replicated, if Carolina can keep it close, I think that will play somewhat of a factor.
I will say this. I think I'm not trying to say whether there should be masks and crap at the arena, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like we do see a difference when we were talking to Jeff Nadeau, we see a difference in these SEC teams like Auburn and LSU, their home court advantage. None of these people are wearing masks. The masks do limit the noise.
They do. And the thing is, the problem with that is at the Dean Dome, at least, they don't enforce that for any of like the normal seats, but they do have somebody like on full-time duty watching the student section, constantly telling people to like pull their mask up or whatever. So that I feel like that I agree. But
Duke has the same thing. I think Duke destroys them. Who's guarding Banchero?
I just think he will probably have a game. He will probably go off, sure. But I can easily see it being one of those games where nobody else has over 8 points. And then it's just Banchero shooting 10 for 25 and nobody else shoots more than 8 times and Wendell Moore screws up at the end or something like that.
I genuinely believe that Carolina's best lineup against us is benching Brady Manick and playing Kerwin Walton and him guarding Wendell Moore. And putting Leaky Black.
Yeah. I think that's what might happen anyways. I think Manick will still start, but they might start him on like Wendell Moore over Banchero.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, this is a pivotal game for the Duke season. They've seen it. They've been able to grind out these last few ACC games, winning against Wake, winning against Notre Dame. I mean, almost handily too.
Yeah.
But
we were sorry, go ahead.
And then just dominating Syracuse, like we mentioned, the Syracuse game. That's always a get-right game.
It is. I don't know when Syracuse. You think when Boeheim leaves or retires, whatever it may be, they'll stop running the zone?
It depends who comes in after him. It'll probably be like one of Boeheim's players that he had that became an assistant.
One of Boeheim's disciples. Joe Girard comes back.
Joe Girard comes back in the flesh. Buddy just goes into a grad assistant role and slowly takes over.
Oh, my God. Speaking of the other ACC, though, we were spot on about this before the season. We both said Wake would be better than NC State this year. Carolina ass blasted NC State this past weekend. They look horrible this year. Wake looks good. Probably ACC Player of the Year in Alondas Williams.
Yeah, ACC Player of the Year, Alondas Williams, no doubt. NC State, I will say, they had a season of hell to begin with. They had no chance of being good. Especially when Manny Bates went down. Manny Bates was playing, and they were still at the bottom 3 or 4 of the ACC. That's where I think, okay, Kevin Keats has no excuses. You need to be fired. I still don't believe in Kevin Keats. I don't know what NC State fans believe. I feel like the ones in our life are just like kind of 50-50 on it too. Just like, we don't think he's the guy, but you can't fire him yet because he like still like deserves one.
He hasn't had
a
fair, like a really fair shot. Yeah,
exactly.
There was a sign at the game that said, like the Kevin Keats is a winner. There was a sign that I saw at the game this past weekend that was like Kevin Keats is a wiener, and it was like him on like the hot dog emoji.
When Facebook made it to the Carolina game,
dude, I'm telling you though, sitting under the basket for that game, there was almost like a couple fights. Like you could see firsthand how chippy it was. And then like this one guy for State, I cannot remember who it was. It was one of the bench players that came in at the end. Like somebody in our student section said something to him and he turned around and said something back, like right near our bench or something like that. Like I would never notice that. It's like on TV, but you see like how chippy it is and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I don't know.
But you'll be at the game tomorrow, right?
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I got a phase 1 ticket. Me and Chip both got phase 1 now. So it's going to be an all-day thing. For those of you who don't know, it's like an all-day experience. It's like 12-hour experience. I have to be there tomorrow at 8 in the morning to get my randomization number or whatever. Go to college game day, 9:30 is the doors open. Starts at 11, ends at 12:30. Get my line ordering at 1 p.m. and we have to stay in line until 3:30, which is when phase 1 enters, and then the game starts at 6. So I can't leave, really.
So do they decide who takes the half-court shot before or during college game day?
I don't know. I think it's during college game day. I'm not sure.
So
though.
if you or Chip can shoot the half-court shot?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how that works. I can't speak on that. That'd be crazy, though.
I got to tune in just for that.
We'll be there.
Okay,
we'll be there.
But 82-65 Duke.
That's your prediction?
Night.
I'm going 77-70 Carolina.
It's going to get chippy. We're going to see a lot of fouls. A lot of fouls on both sides. It's going to be double. Second half is going to be double bonus with 13 minutes to go.
I was going to say there's going to be a lot of fouls early. 100%.
Yeah,
somebody's getting 2 fouls within the first 2 minutes.
Yep, and it's going to just change the whole complexion of the game. Doesn't matter if it's either Caleb Love or it's Trevor Keels.
Yeah.
Or if it's one of the big men. All right, let's move on from the Duke-Carolina game. Real quick, I will be at I will be at BYU Gonzaga tomorrow. BYU's biggest game. BYU has dropped 3 in a row, the first time in the Mark Pope era they've ever lost consecutive games. BYU's about to get destroyed.
Yeah, Gonzaga's been looking better and better recently.
They're so good.
This is one of those games. This is one of those games where it's okay, BYU's one of the best teams they'll play the rest of the year. This might be a statement game.
In the Marriott Center is, I think, a top 5 home court advantage. The night of the Gonzaga game might be the second best home court advantage in all of college basketball. It's going to be rough. Rough as a BYU fan tomorrow. They're just flat out not good.
We have cast members at both huge rivalries tomorrow. UNC Duke and BYU.
It's brutal for me. People watching on video, they're like, is he wearing a Duke sweatshirt and a BYU hat? Yes, I am. Suck it. I don't care. Oh my gosh, BYU is so bad. They're so bad. They have no guys that can just play one-on-one besides Alex Barcelo, and it's hard for him to create his own shot. It is going to be that BYU has no big man. Okay, for people listening, if you know Connor Sparrow, he is roughly 6'6".
Oh, yeah.
If you've seen Connor Sparrow in person, that is the equivalent to our center at BYU, who is 6'6". A little bit longer wingspan, but he is still only 6'6". Going against
it's not going to work against
Drew Timme, who is 6'10", 6'9", and Chet Holmgren, who is 7'1".
Yeah, that's not going to work out. You can say what you want to about small ball, whatever. Just box out, get the low man wins. There comes to a certain point where height's just better. You just can't teach it. If you have 3 or 4 inches on somebody, you're going to get every rebound. You're going to score consistently in the post, no matter whatever the defender's doing.
I'm trying to look up the lines right now for the games. But, I'm excited to go. This will be my first BYU Gonzaga game. I've never been to one.
That will be really cool.
There are no lines out yet. I predict BYU will be about a 17, 18-point underdog.
Dang, really?
Yeah, they lost by 22 to Gonzaga last time. Yeah. And they lost on Thursday to San Francisco by 14.
I don't know if it'll be that high. I would say maybe 13 or 14. I don't know if it'll be 18.
If it's anything below 15, I would take Gonzaga if I was you. I'm not lying.
Yeah, that's fair. We didn't bring up the Carolina Duke line.
I think it's going to be Duke -3 or 2.5.
I was thinking 4.5 to 4.
You think it'll be that high?
I do. I think it'll be 4.
Over-under is going to be about 154.5, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's going to be high because Carolina over-unders are always overinflated.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty high. And I don't mind the over because we were talking about the foul trouble. I think there's going to be a lot of free throws.
I do too. Even though my score prediction, I said 82-65. That's still not even close to that.
Exactly. I said 77-70. That's 147. So
yeah, I said 147 too.
Oh, interesting.
Can we get an exact prop where we can bet exactly 147 in the game?
If that hits, that's a little crazy.
But yeah, no, BYU, I'm excited to go. BYU to win by 10 or more plus 30,000. Bet it right now.
Put the mortgage on it.
Yeah, no. BYU's about to get smacked. Anything else in college basketball?
No, I think that's it. There'll be a very different show next week when we discuss the results of these games.
Oh, also, while you're listening, coming this either Monday night or Tuesday morning, we're trying to get it worked out. We're not going to do NFL recap. There's nothing to recap. We're not going to recap the Pro Bowl or anything. We're going to do a Super Bowl preview, and then we're going to do a whole props show. We're going to have our man Dylan on. Connor, you're more than welcome to come on if you want to. We're going to have Grant on. Brian is just coming on for the preview. He is not coming on for the props show, FYI. Just wanted to get that out of the way before I forget. All right, let's move on to the NBA. The biggest news that came out, I believe it was last night. Hornets got snubbed in the All-Star game. Lamelo Ball and Miles Bridges did not make the All-Star team. Connor, I'll let you just go ahead with this one.
If you know anything about the NBA, how can you like be okay with this? Chris Middleton gets in, and you know what that is? I was talking to my friends last night on Xbox about it a little bit. Chris Middleton, okay, they won a championship. Sure, he was great. This year alone, this year for the All-Star game, he is not better than Lamelo, Miles Bridges. He has not been playing better than these guys.
No, I mean, you look at the stats. It's not. He's averaging what, 19, 6, and 6?
Yeah, or like a little better shooting percentage. And the Bucks are a couple games ahead of the Hornets in the standings. I wouldn't have even been mad if you told me Jared Allen got in over Chris Middleton. I'd be like, okay. Chris Middleton's not even the second best player on his team this year. I would argue Drew Holiday should have gotten in over him. I really would. I really would.
The issue is for like the people that want Lamelo in is he classified as a small forward or a shooting guard?
Point guard.
No, Middleton.
Oh, Middleton. No, I don't know. Does that matter on the bench?
I don't know. I
don't think it does. There was 0 big men on the East bench.
Okay, then there's no explanation for this then.
Yeah, I don't think that
matters.
Like,
how can the NBA be this dumb? They rig the All-Star people who they want in anyways.
It's
why
just hangover from.
Why not put your biggest rising star in the game?
You want excitement. You want people to watch or whatever. Maybe you want highlight plays. This dude literally does like Showtime Hornets plays every other game.
He literally runs the House of Highlights account.
Imagine what he would do in the All-Star game. Like, if you're just looking for entertainment value, give me a break. And he was like, what, 4th in the East Guards and fan voting? And then all of a sudden, they just don't select him for the bench. Give me a break.
He probably, the jersey sales, he has to be in the top 5 in the NBA. I think everywhere you look,
I think he's 8th.
I'm here in Utah and Salt Lake. Whether it's 8, he's in the top 10 at least.
Yeah.
I live here in Salt Lake City. I see a Lamelo Ball jersey all the time.
Okay, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. I think he should have been in over Chris Middleton. I really think he should have been over Van Fleet because the Raptors, they're okay. Like, we're like right neck and neck with them in the standings. The Hornets are. But if you look at the percentages, the actual statistics, Lamelo is better than him.
I'm not upset about Darius Garland making it in.
I'm not either. I think he deserves it. What he's done for the Cavs is insane. I would have been upset if the Cavs got 2 and we got none. If they got Jared Allen in and we got none, I would be really pissed. But Darius Garland deserves it.
Absolutely. Darius Garland. He's so good.
And
all right.
Okay,
let's look at Fred VanVleet's stats compared to Lamelo.
Okay.
Fred VanVleet averages 21.5 points per game, 7.1 assists, 4.7 rebounds, 41 from the field, 39 from 3, and like 1.5 steals. But Lamelo's averaging 1.5 steals as well. Lamelo Ball, 19.9 points per game, so 1.6 points per game difference, 7.7 assists, more, 7.2 rebounds, more.
Way more.
42% from the field, higher, and 36 from 3. He's 3% lower from 3, averages basically all the same stats, if not better. And he's leading his team. The Hornets are right above. They have more wins than the Raptors.
Exactly. And if you look at the fan voting, I don't understand how Lamelo was like 4th and VanVleet was like 8th, but then like VanVleet just automatically gets in over him.
Because fan voting doesn't matter. I mean, they had Jeremy Lin getting like the second amount of votes every year for like 3 years straight.
I can't believe it. And even though like you can argue VanVleet, which I obviously agree with, you can even argue Jimmy Butler, who's missed almost half the season. Obviously his numbers are good enough to be in. The Heat are really good, so I guess you can't have them not be represented in the All-Star game. I get that. But he's only played half the season, a little over half the season.
How do you feel about Miles Bridges not making it? I feel like both of us realized it probably wasn't happening.
I was more okay with that. All along, I thought Lamelo was going to make it on the actual bench. And then if Miles got in, it would be like a second or third injury replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not pissed off that he didn't make it, although I think he should make it over Chris Middleton. I will say both of them should make it over Chris Middleton.
Yep. We didn't get one All-Star. We finally have a fun team. We're finally good. And we didn't get one All-Star. But
we're the most exciting team in the league. Yeah, we're the most exciting team in the league. How do we not get an All-Star? We've been top 7 in the standings the entire season, and we're not represented. Are we the only team that's not represented in the top?
Because Tatum got in.
Yeah, they're below us though. Yeah, we're the only team.
Trae Young got in, right?
Yeah. So out of the top 10 teams, we're 8th. We've been 7th all year. We're the only one without an All-Star.
And the thing is, 8th is kind of a lie because the Raptors are 27 and 23. We're 28 and 24.
Yeah, we're top. So we're really 7th. Yeah, we're really 7th. So out of the top 10 teams in the East, we're the only team represented without an All-Star. Give me a fucking break. I think that's horrible.
We talked about this before. It seems obvious, though, that Kevin Durant is going to get in or is going to be injured, not play, and then Lamelo is going to take his spot in there.
Will he, though? I don't know if they can do that with the positions because he's a starter.
But then it would be Miles Bridges, right?
I don't know who else it would be from the East.
Because wouldn't they just bring a guy off the bench that's there now and make him a starter?
I guess, yeah. I don't know how they do that. It's the commissioner selection, so I'm sure he would probably select a Hornet.
The fact that, because you knew KD wasn't going to play, Adam Silver knows KD's not going to play in this All-Star game. There's going to be injury replacements. Put Lamelo in there first. He is your rising star. He is the future of the NBA. Even Bo Esty says that he's the future of the NBA. You put him in there now. You don't give him that pity invite injury replacement vote.
Chris Middleton,
Fred VanVleet, or Chris Middleton.
Middleton and VanVleet scream injury replacement. That's literally what they like. That is what I think of.
Ridiculous. But I mean, back to the Hornets. It's kind of weird lately. Like,
yeah, Hayward's coming back supposedly. It's been really up and down the last few games. Horrible loss to the Clippers.
The Clippers was horrendous.
Celtics hurt.
Celtics hurt.
Watch that. That hurt. Too little, too late in the end. But I knew that would happen. Robert Williams coming back, like Marcus Smart going off, like Josh Richardson going for like 25. Give me a break.
We almost choked against the no LeBron, no AD Lakers.
There's no way it should have been that close. There's no way it should have been that close.
Shout out Jordan being at the game. But yeah, we're going to get
tough.
We're 5.5 point favorites tonight against the Cavs. Obviously, you'll probably be listening to this either tonight during the game or Saturday morning. You already know the result, but I think the Cavs kill us tonight.
I think the Cavs could really have a chance to just run it up on us.
I think we're slowly becoming our team's just ready for an All-Star break.
I think so too. I'm excited though. I'm going to the Bulls game on Wednesday, so hopefully we are competitive in that. The last Hornets game I went to was the Suns. We lost by fucking 35, so hopefully the Hornets can be competitive against the Bulls.
All right. Well, we mentioned the Lakers. They're having like this weird, like forced renaissance by social media. All these like bronze sexuals are like, yeah, like the Lakers, you better watch out. Like last time we were healthy, we were good, and we're going to win the title. It's comeback.
Sounds like somebody I know. In our group chat. Certain D3 baseball player. Anyways, I don't believe. AD's come back. Sure, they haven't won. They lost to the Clippers without Kawhi, without PG. They obviously LeBron didn't play, but they still lost to the Clippers.
It is so hard for me to bet against LeBron though. I have been burned so many times. Every year I've watched basketball. I don't want LeBron to win. I don't like watching LeBron. It's not that I dislike LeBron as a person. I don't have fun watching LeBron compared to guys like Steph or back in the day, Steve Nash. Or I like watching Zion Williamson 10 times more. I like watching Lamelo 10 times more than LeBron.
Yeah, Lamelo, yeah. LeBron in the playoffs, though, but
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to get burned on that because every time I'm like, LeBron, they're going to get upset. They just somehow managed to do it. That's why I was so shocked last year when they actually did lose to Phoenix.
I think they will be bounced in the first round again. I genuinely do. They're just not good enough.
I think you can say whatever you want to about LeBron. Solely depends on matchup.
I agree. Like we were talking about earlier, if it's the Jazz, they probably beat the Jazz.
What about the Mavericks?
I think they wiped the floor with the Mavericks.
Memphis.
I've never been a believer in the Mavericks. Memphis, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I think that would be like a 7-game series. I really do.
I 100% believe that too. The Mavs piss me off because they're just like a worse version of those Rockets Harden teams and less fun to watch with Luka just doing all the Harden things.
I agree completely. And the Mavs are just not built to make a run in the playoffs. They're just not. I'm sorry.
They put too much on one guy. And that's
They
Luka's
do.
fault too, because he doesn't make people better around him.
He doesn't. That's part of his game that he doesn't have yet. It just seems like the team, obviously the team goes as he goes, but like if he has an off night, they have no chance.
No, unless Tim Hardaway has his random like 30 burgers.
Even then though, like it's just sometimes they're hard to watch. I like Luka as a player, but they're hard to watch sometimes.
The Nuggets.
I think they beat the Nuggets. I think they wipe the floor with the Nuggets if that happens.
The Lakers Nuggets?
Yeah, I think the Lakers would wipe the floor with the Nuggets.
I would take the Nuggets in 6.
No, not with their current roster. Murray, Porter, both
well, they're gonna have Murray back by then, right?
Will he have been back for like a while? When's he supposed to come back?
Isn't he supposed to come back in March?
Is it March? I still think I'm taking the Lakers in that series. Maybe they won't wipe the floor with them, but I think I'm still taking the Lakers. Yeah. Are you looking it up?
I'm looking up his injury right now. Okay, but the one team is the Jazz. They would smoke the Jazz. The Jazz are on a weird downward spiral where they're in a scary situation as a franchise because they were, we always talk about this, that the Jazz were just like those Toronto teams that finished first in the East, those Hawks teams that finished first in the East that just got destroyed. Yep. Or like in football, the Steelers last year starting 11-0, they had 0 shot to win the Super Bowl.
There's weird teams like that. That's a weird feeling when like a team's doing really good. Like you can't hate on them, but you have that gut feeling. It's like they are not a threat in any form of like playoff scenario.
One of the top Google searches is Jamal Murray ever coming back?
He tore it in April last year, right? So if it's a year recovery, that's April this year.
ACL's not a year though.
Usually it is.
It's like 9. You can get back in like 9 months.
You can, but basketball's.
I think he would force it if they're in the playoffs. What was is Michael Porter ever coming back?
I think he's shut down for the season. I know for a fact he is actually. So they won't have him. But just the current, I think the Lakers would still beat them. I think AD is good enough to.
If Jamal Murray's back and playing, I think the Nuggets would win.
I still can't get behind that. I think he'll be rusty. I don't think.
But then you're saying, okay, but that's the thing. You're contradicting yourself because then you're saying, I don't believe in the Lakers. The Lakers aren't good. First round exit. Those are the teams they're going to be playing against in the first round because they're going to get to that 6-5 seed and they're going to be playing Mavs, Jazz, Nuggets, teams like that. The Lakers are going to be in the second round of the playoffs at least.
I don't know what to say. I think if they match up with the Grizzlies, they might lose. Mavericks, I think they could beat. Would they beat the Jazz?
Another thing too is like, are you that confident in the Lakers against the Warriors in a 7-game series?
I think the Warriors would kill them.
You think it'd be 4-0, 4-1?
No, I think it would be 6. I think it'd be 4-2.
That's so close.
I don't know. It really just depends on if Russell Westbrook can figure it out. Because right now he's a liability at times, especially at the end of the games. 100%.
But
that really is what it hinges on.
We've seen teams just turn it around after the All-Star break.
I'm not saying they as how they look right now. That's my take. Like they could easily turn it around and somehow figure it out late in the year and go on a run, and then I'll change my opinion completely. But as of right now, what I've seen the last few games, even without LeBron, with LeBron, whatever, they just don't look like. I don't think they perform well in a 7-game series. I don't know.
I 100% agree with you. I don't like the Lakers. I don't like watching the Lakers. It's like watching a crappy AAU team with just phenomenal players.
It's weird because like they just ISO ball and then kick out to like a sub 30% 3-point shooter most of the time.
Exactly.
Like, I want to watch Trevor Ariza brick it from the corner, or Melo take a turnaround jumper, or Kent Bazemore air ball.
And then you get a little excited when Malik Monk gets the ball, but if he's not on a streaky night, it's kind of depressing.
Yep. And then Westbrook just flies down there and bricks a mid-range. Like, it's just hard to watch. They're not fun like they used to be.
We mentioned the Jazz. Let's talk about the Jazz for a little bit. Joe Ingles goes down. He's done for the year. I think his NBA career might be over. I think Bo hinted at it on Twitter as well, that he might be going to Australia.
They just interviewed him. I saw something today on Twitter. He was like, of course I want to come back to the NBA, make a return. So it's my dream, whatever. But I kind of agree with you. What is he, like mid-30s right now?
35.
He is 35?
I believe so. Because he joined the league when he was like 29.
35. I didn't know that.
Joe Ingles is turning 35.
He might be done then because he's on an expiring deal.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to – I think maybe he might have one more stop, but he wouldn't last long. Like maybe a return, and then after that, maybe Australia. I don't know. He might be done.
We mentioned this. The Jazz are in a bad spot. We're seeing these like articles leak out that Donovan Mitchell feels like he's too big for Salt Lake and all this. Mm-hmm. My thing is, Rudy Gobert is not good enough to be your second guy, maybe even your third guy on a championship winning team. Rudy Gobert has to be a third, fourth option. Like
you got to have streaky shooters around him if you want to win a title. Like you can't have Gobert as like any form of offensive focal point.
And he can be a liability at defense at the end of games sometimes when he has to go out to the 3-point line.
You want to hear a hot take I have? He will never be like, because he's at such a high level right now, and like he's multiple defensive player of the year, multiple time All-Star. So you have to pay him big money, but you're screwing yourself. Because in the playoffs, he's not worth it. You could spend that money on somebody else and make a much deeper run.
So many teams fall into that trap that they just have to do. It's like the Vikings with Kirk Cousins. They had to sign Kirk Cousins. He was the next quarterback up, needed that deal. You don't want to go through that rebuilding process again because you lose season tickets. You guys are going to be bad again. You have to go through the draft, all that. There's so many unknowns. Then you're like, okay, if we get this guy, he can take us to the playoffs. And maybe if we build a good defense around it, we can maybe get to the Super Bowl, something like that. That's the same thing with guys like Rudy Gobert in the NBA.
Any team he's on is not going to go far because he demands so much salary, so much attention. They don't have the space or whatever it may be to sign another player to take him to that next level. Like I honestly think I'd rather have a lower tier all-star. Maybe it's like Gobert's an all-star. Maybe I'd rather have like Darius Garland plus like a young upcoming center like Rashawn Holmes or somebody over Gobert. No question.
Wait, like both of them together?
Yeah. Because like,
absolutely.
Like I would rather have a little bit less than Gobert.
I would rather have Darius Garland than Gobert.
I think so too.
Oh my gosh. I think I would take every other all-star in the all-star voting right now than Rudy Gobert.
You want to talk about pity invite all-star games? Mike Conley last year. That was the biggest pity. He averaged like 16 points when he got in an all-star game. Give me a break. That's also why they're not.
That's the thing. Mike Conley, like he's not a point guard that's not going to take you there.
He's washed. He's another one of those guys that's like, oh, like he's a pretty good player, respectable reputation. He's not taking you to the finals.
The Jazz did not sell high on guys like Rudy Gobert. I mean, you had to get rid. You had to get rid of Rudy Gobert when he was at his peak because everybody knew it.
Those are the tough decisions you have to make. But if you're the Jazz, you can't do that. He's a multiple-time defensive player of the year.
And nobody wants to come to Utah in free agency.
Yeah. That's just a rough situation. Because, like, he's a great player. Like, he helps you win games from the regular season. We see it year in and year out. And in the playoffs, he's almost a non-factor sometimes. You can't have your second highest-paid player be a non-factor in the playoffs. You just can't have it.
Another weird team I wanted to mention, I don't think we've, ever talked about them on here. The Clippers are okay without Paul George and Kawhi.
They're a weird team. It's almost like how they were a couple years ago before they came there.
Luke Kennard's better than Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
It's like that team that won 2 games against the Warriors.
Yeah.
Like whenever what was it, like Patrick Beverly and all of them were like freaking out. But it was before Kawhi came there and they like won those 2 games against the Warriors. It's almost like that team. There's not like a set superstar. It's a bunch of like proven role players.
There's just like those gritty like 8-7 seeds that make it. They have those DJ Augustine games that somehow they're like, oh, we made the playoffs. They have no chance of winning.
I don't think so either. And I don't even know if they'll get in this year.
They'll be in the play-in.
Yeah, I don't think they'll make the playoffs though.
So, okay. Last bit of news, and then we'll be done here. The Trailblazers are maybe the dumbest franchise in all of basketball now. They're slowly, not slowly, I guess, becoming the Charlotte Bobcats one by one.
Explain.
All right. So let me pull up the exact details of the trade. Because today they traded Norman Powell and Robert Covington for Justice Winslow, I think Keon Johnson.
Wait, what?
Did you not see the trade today?
I've been in class all day. I haven't really been on my phone at all.
Oh, why did we start the podcast then?
Wait, what the hell?
You didn't see that trade?
You can have my real-time reaction now.
All right, yeah, here it is. Clippers are trading Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and a future second-round pick to the Trailblazers for Norman Powell and Robert Covington.
Okay, so Norman Powell and Covington are going to the Clippers, and then Bledsoe, Winslow, and Keon Johnson are going to the... I don't like that for the Blazers. I don't like that at all.
Well, they have to do it because of salary cap stuff. They didn't have a choice. And also...
Because isn't Powell making a lot? Powell's making a lot.
They signed Powell to a massive deal. Robert Covington, they traded 2 first-round picks for.
They are just wasting.
Norman Powell was traded for Gary Trent Jr., who is arguably all-star caliber player.
He has been going off the last 2 weeks.
He's been going off ever since the bubble.
He's averaging 18 this year.
18. He is a good player, and they had him in the building and could have re-signed him.
For not that much. Like, at the time, he wasn't averaging 18.
No. And they traded him for Norman Powell. Gave up 2 first-round picks for a washed-up Robert Covington.
I can't believe they're doing this just because, I mean, I guess for salary cap, but like Nasir Little's out for a while. So like they're going to have to like really play Justice Winslow.
The discussion now is, do the Blazers fully believe that it's time to go tank mode? And now they're shopping Lillard and McCollum?
Because I think so, but this doesn't make any sense to me. I guess the salary, sure, but like you bring in Eric Bledsoe, who's way past his prime. You've already got Nefri Simon starting while Lillard's out. When Lillard comes back, it's going to be him, McCollum. Like you're just taking minutes away from your young guys because you know Bledsoe's going to play.
Oh, did you just see this?
What?
From Shams?
I don't have my phone up. Where?
The 76ers are expected to pursue Brooklyn's James Harden ahead of NBA trade deadline Thursday, and the Nets are now open to discussing a deal involving Ben Simmons.
No, I just saw that. No way. I think that's stupid on both parts. I think that's so dumb.
The thing is, you got to remember, attitude is so big in sports. And I don't know if there's 2 worse attitude guys than James Harden and Ben Simmons. And I think a change of scenery might completely shift them. I think James Harden is going to be in Philadelphia no matter what.
Well, okay, so what does Philly give up for Harden besides Ben Simmons? Because Harden's clearly more valuable than Ben Simmons.
If I'm the Nets, I say nothing less than Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey. Or Tybal. Or Tybal.
I think Maxey or Tybal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I don't think they're going to trade Maxey. If they trade Tyrese Maxey, I think they're stupid. I think Tybal's a little more expendable than him. That would be crazy. Although, if you think about it, the Nets need depth. They need defense, Ben Simmons. Depth, they could get Tybal or Tyrese Maxey, whoever it may be.
I don't hate the trade at all. If you're able, if they NBA or New York City, they change their vaccine rules and you have Kyrie every game in the playoffs, I don't hate that move.
I don't either because Durant provides so much scoring.
And Ben Simmons doesn't want to score the ball. He's looking for these other guys.
Exactly. And Harden is a score first. Well, pass first.
He's
more so than Ben Simmons.
He's Harden first, is what we should say.
Okay, if you would have told me 4 years ago that Harden would be getting traded every year, being discussed in trade deadline, I would have said he's way too big a star. No way.
But that's just how it is.
But I would have always thought he's one of those players like Kawhi, just like, oh, you signed somewhere, and then like there's no ever trade talk for him.
Because somebody tweeted out, I think I'm buying in Anthony Doyle, whatever. Sam Quinn quoted it. I think I'm buying into a little on the Portland's front office wants to move on from Dame, but needs to ask him to walk out conspiracy.
Yeah. Needs to ask him to walk out. Like he needs to leave.
Because apparently Dame doesn't want to leave, but the Wizards
are
going to go
on his part.
The Wizards are going to go through the same thing with Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal's going to want to leave. And if Lillard's smart, he'll get out. Because they are a dumpster fire right now.
I have a conspiracy theory about that.
Let's
do this. I think Lillard's scared to go to a contender because I don't think he can actually do it.
I don't think he can. No, I
don't think he can win a title.
I don't think he could go somewhere like.
I think he's hiding out in Portland to say, "Oh, he had such a great career. He just got screwed by Portland.
He never had the right roster around him.
He never had the right roster around him and everything. He led that crap team to a conference finals against the Warriors. He just had no chance against the Warriors.
It'd be like Dirk if he never won.
Yep.
Yeah, or something like that. You know, like I don't know. Dirk had that one title. So like if Dirk never won that title,
kind of like Steve Nash, but like not really because Steve Nash played at the Mavericks.
Yeah. That makes total sense though, because I don't think he could be the guy.
It would have been like a lesser version. This would have been a lesser version. It's like Kemba Walker in Charlotte if he would have never left.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what we might see if he moves on. Yes, Lillard's a lot better than Kemba Walker. I'm not saying that, but I think Lillard is a little scared to go to a title contender and then lose in the finals.
Get that scrutiny, get that spotlight on you. Go some big market team who high expectations. Right now, Portland, okay. Like whatever. You go somewhere like New York, Chicago, LA, wherever, get those expectations set on you. I don't know if you could do it. I agree. That's a very nice take from you.
And then CJ McCollum, I just believe he's a fourth guy on a team now.
He's not it anymore. He's not. He had a couple of good years, got injured a couple of times.
Can't stay healthy.
What's his contract like? I'm curious. Is it
Dude, there was some wild news came out while we were doing this. We expected this to go like 25 minutes.
NBA teams view CJ McCollum's $100 million contract as slightly negative value for trade purposes.
I don't know what great. Okay, now let's move back to this.
And he's 30 years old. He's turning 30.
We've talked about this on previous podcasts. Would you rather trade if you're Portland? Who do you go after with Lillard?
I mean, I think obviously first and foremost it would have to be Harden. I don't think that would happen though.
Really? I would not go after Harden. I don't think it makes sense for the Trailblazers.
Who would you go after then?
I think you have to go after someone young. I think you have to somehow get into a 3-way deal if you can. But I genuinely believe Ben Simmons or someone like that. I'm not saying Ben Simmons, but I think Jaylen Brown's their best bet.
That's a good one. Or what about Zion?
100%.
I don't think the Pelicans will do that yet. I don't think they're at that point. Well,
it depends what they get. If they made it a 3-way and like the Pelicans were able to get a bunch of nice pieces. Also, that's another thing. Pelicans need to move on from Brandon Ingram.
He's just we said this a couple weeks ago. He's not a winner. Irrelevant guy in the league right now. The most irrelevant guy in the league.
Well, he's just not a winner. He's one of those guys that's just not a winner.
Puts up numbers on a bad team. That's just how it is.
Yep. But not Brandon Ingram. But I mean, Dame Lillard.
I really don't know at this point. I mean,
if I was the Pelicans, I would be calling Philadelphia and be like, "We'll give you Brandon Ingram for Ben Simmons."
And if you're Philly, I don't think you do that. I think you can get more than Brandon Ingram from Ben
Depends
Simmons.
How patient you want to be, but I think Daryl Morey knew this whole time that James Harden was going to eventually end up on the Philadelphia 76ers. That's why he never budged on Ben Simmons.
He had to, but Ingram and Embiid wouldn't work together. I don't think Harden and Embiid could probably work together, but Ingram,
that team might make the finals. I think they should.
I've said this before. The Sixers' best shot was the year they had Jimmy Butler, but if they get James Harden, they would have another legitimate shot. But the thing is, okay, Tom, what do you do with Tobias Harris then? Because they've been looking to package him with Ben Simmons. The Nets couldn't do that cap-wise. There's no way. So what do you do with Tobias Harris?
You have to find some third team to get involved and mortgage your future.
I think they have to get rid of Tobias Harris so they bring in James Harden. I feel like you could get a decent amount for him. Like
Tobias Harris, nobody wants him.
Is the contract?
Yeah. And
he's
You know what the funny thing is about all this? They haven't been great lately because Clay's slowly coming back. I love the Warriors. I hope they win the title so badly.
I don't mind Andrew Wiggins. I like it. Like everybody's freaking out about him being an all-star. Good for him.
No, there's no team like other than the Hornets, just because they're the Hornets. You get to listen to Eric Collins. They're so fun to watch. Highlight team, Showtime East. The Warriors are the most fun, fundamental, everything basketball team to watch.
Let me just real quick. How in the fuck did Draymond Green make the All-Star game? That's conspiracy. That's big conspiracy. You want to know why? He's averaging 7, 7, and 7. The Warriors are not good enough to have 3 All-Stars. They knew he wasn't going to play for injury replacement, so they decided to put him on there. And then he immediately announced he wasn't going to play. It's just like a fucking Mickey Mouse All-Star is what that was. Give me a break. I think that's horrible.
But then guys like Lamelo Ball, who actually deserve to get in the All-Star game. I know it's separate conferences. Relax. No. But Lamelo Ball deserved a real invite and not these pity injury replacement invites. Like, did you actually make the All-Star game if you got an injury replacement invite?
No, you did. You weren't one of the top 12 players in the conference, so you did. This is what it is. And hey, I'll tell you what else. DeJounte Murray should have gotten into Draymond Green 1,000,000%. That's bullshit. He's averaging like 29 and 8, I think. And the Spurs are not good, but
they're playing potential.
29 and 8, and then you can put in Draymond, who's 7, 7, and 7. Yeah, he's got good defense. DeJounte Murray averages like 2 steals. He leads the league in steals.
All right, the last thing we'll talk about,
whatever,
super quick. Have you looked at the bottom of the West where the 10 seed for the play-in tournament? If the Trailblazers are actually tanking, we're gonna have a team, either the Pelicans, the Spurs, or the Kings, make the play-in tournament.
I think it'll be the Kings.
I mean, I don't think it'll be the Pelicans.
No, and it'll be the Kings of the Spurs if the Blazers really start losing games, which they probably will.
That's hilarious.
That's going to be a complete ass blasting. That's a cakewalk for the Lakers if they stay in the play-in tournament.
Or whoever. The Timberwolves would be playing them right now, whoever jumps Portland.
I think the T-Wolves will get into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Clippers and who was I think Clippers and whoever the 10th seed are going to get knocked out.
Exactly. I think it'll stay exactly how it is right now, except the Lakers will jump the Clippers, and that'll be the 8.
All right. Well, that's enough from us today.
I just got fired up. I'm excited. I'm ready.
We got Duke, Carolina tomorrow, BYU, Gonzaga. Make sure to check out the YouTube page, CarterCast YouTube page. Subscribe, like to the videos. Follow us on TikTok at CarterCast. Follow us on Twitter at Connor_Sparrow, at CarterB8. Make sure to check out the website coming soon, CarterCast.com. That is CarterCast.com, KarterCast.com. Check it out. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and we will see y'all either Monday or Tuesday. Bye.